Good evening, everybody. It is so wonderful to be back here at the Torch Center studying another Mussar topic. And today's topic is jealousy or envy or Kinah. And I want to begin with a Mishnah. A Mishnah that tells us a very, very fundamental principle about this trait. Here we go. Better. All right. The Mishnah tells us in Ethics of Our Fathers, Pirkei Avot, it tells us Hakinah, Hata'ava, Ve'akavod, Motzi'in et ha'adam min ha'olam. Kinah is jealousy. Ta'ava means urges, desires. And kavod, honor, remove a person from this world. What does that mean? These three negative traits, jealousy, a person who's lustful and running after their desires, and someone who seeks honor, are the three traits that remove a person from this world. Right? It's not a good path to go in if you want to enjoy life. So let's explain what this means. What does jealousy mean? What jealousy means, I think the simplest definition is wanting what I don't have. So you see your friend got a toy, right? Your friend got a toy and you want that toy. Right, so you're jealous. Your friend bought a car. It's a nice car. You want that car. That's jealousy. You have, a neighbor goes on a cruise, and you're like, oh, I want to go on a cruise. Right? They go on a nice vacation. So I just want to point out something which is very, very important for us to know when we are learning about how not to be jealous and how not to use this negative trait in our lives. We also have to just keep in the back of our mind constantly the importance of not making other people jealous. It's a very important responsibility that we have, that we should carry, about others not being jealous of us. And it's such an important responsibility to ensure that you are not causing someone else to have to go out and steal, to have to go out and borrow, to have to go out and buy something that they can't afford just so that they can be like you. I'll tell you two stories about my father, both of which I'm sure he'll be unpleased watching this video that I'm repeating. But it's for the sake of us learning, so we have to learn to write. It's Torah. It's Torah, so we have to learn it. So my brother was 12 years old, my oldest brother, and he told me this story several years later. But he was 12 years old, and he went to a bar mitzvah with my father, and it was a very, very simple bar mitzvah to say the least. And when they walked out, my brother sort of told my father in this, my bar mitzvah is going to be nicer than that, right? And my father says, actually not. No, it's going to be the same. He says, but you can afford a nicer bar mitzvah than that. He said, it's true, I may be able to afford a nicer bar mitzvah than that. But will your friends, will your classmates be able to afford that? A bar mitzvah comes once in a lifetime. And I'm going to make this nice bar mitzvah for you. And your friends are going to go back home and they're going to say, I want a bar mitzvah like he had. And the father's going to be like, I have to do this for my son. He's only going to be a bar mitzvah one time. I have to go do what I need to do. So he can cheat. He can steal. He can borrow money he can't pay back. He can do many things that are going to be not good because I wanted to make a nice bar mitzvah for my son. He said, absolutely not. He says, your bar mitzvah is going to be a simple bar mitzvah just like any other ordinary bar mitzvah that no one's going to ever be able to point to and say, oh, that's the nice one. I want to have like that one. It's a responsibility that we have not to make other people jealous. That's story number one. Story number two. My father had a dream car. He always wanted to buy this car. Anybody remember the Lincoln Town Car? Remember those long, long cars, right? Not the limo, right? Just the regular one was long enough. My father loved that car. He wanted to buy that car, and he never bought it. And not because he couldn't afford it. He never bought it because he said, if I buy this car, my neighbor's going to have to buy it. Or my neighbor's going to have to buy a nicer car. He says, I don't want that responsibility. I don't want someone looking at what I drive and saying, you know what? I have to up my game. So he always drove the simple car that was unassuming, that no one would... But really, he wanted to buy that one. Even if he could afford that one, he didn't buy it. Again, we have to have a responsibility to the people around us. Now, to what degree does that fall into our responsibility? Well, so then I can't even dress in nice clothes because then people will be... There's a balance. And every person has to think for themselves what the balance is. But at least to have in mind, at least think, be cognizant, be conscious of the reality that other people are watching, other people are looking at you, other people may be jealous. And therefore, tone it down. It's a very big challenge, certain communities, people building new homes, right? Not noticing and not paying attention that there may be other people who have jealousy. Again, jealousy is a negative trait. We're going to talk about that for the rest of the class. But not to poke other people in the eyes. Not to, entice other people to want what you have. Okay, so that's just as a side note. Before we begin talking about jealousy, it's important for us to know this.
Any festivity, like a wedding.
Anything, yeah. It includes weddings. It includes bar mitzvahs. It includes bris. There are people who can make an over-the-top celebration for a birthday party. And by the way, I'm turning 40 soon, so I'm just putting it out there. But no parties. But either way, the
Turning today?
No, 2 months. You got some time. Less than 2 months. The clock is ticking, right? So it really is. It's people do extravagant things, not recognizing that it can affect other people, and it's a serious responsibility. And one we should at least think about, have the sensitivity to think about it. Okay? Now, so what is this kinah? Kinah is jealousy. Jealousy is when I want something, I desire something that I don't have, that someone else may have. Right? And that is not a good thing. It's not a good thing because we have to remember. We spoke about this last week. What did we speak about last week? Having bitachon. Bitachon means knowing, what did we say? 3 things, 3 principles in bitachon. Anybody remember? Number 1, everything is from Hashem. Right? Everything Hashem does is for the good. And what was the third?
Everything is under Hashem's guidance.
And everything is under His guidance. And Hashem can change anything at any time. In any place. Okay? If God wanted you to have that car, you would have that car. But guess what? God didn't want you to have that vacation. So you didn't. That means if a person has jealousy, that means they're not living in the reality of their own spiritual personal growth. They're not recognizing that Hashem has given you all the tools you need to succeed. Exactly the tools you need. Right? So if Hashem knows exactly what you need and what you don't need in order to succeed being the best you can be, why are you desiring what someone else has? That means you're not recognizing that you're in a program here. The Almighty put you here for a specific purpose. He wants you to succeed in this specific way. And now you're not pleased with that. So you want what someone else has. Not in the game. Very, very, it's a big problem. It almost is a shortage, so to speak, of our faith. Not recognizing the importance of being happy with what you have. Right? Can you lower the AC, please? In the hallway, please. All right, so,
Quickly,
yes.
then what you just said right now, it's like, so then why do people tell you to pray like this velador and to feel it? I want a job, I want the car, I want whatever you want.
Right.
And so you pray and pray and pray for this.
Mhm.
So that's wrong because if you
No. So you're asking a good question, but perfect. Thank you. So praying for something is great, but being jealous of someone else is totally different,
okay.
right? Praying that I should have certain blessing in my life, that you should have a good job and you should have a good family. That's all great things, but not because your neighbor has it. Okay. So now, actually, I want to read to you something that is in the Sephard, the non-Ashkenaz prayer book. It says at the end, actually, the Sephardi I think also has it. It says in the end of the Amidah, it says a special prayer that my jealousy shouldn't come upon someone else, and someone else's jealousy shouldn't come upon me. Meaning, I shouldn't desire someone else's things, and someone else shouldn't desire my things. You see, it's part of the prayer that we have, is that we shouldn't be the reason that someone else is jealous. You know, there's an old adage that said that if everyone sat in a room and put all of their tsaras, all of their misfortune in a bag and put it in the middle of the room for someone else, you know, everyone pick someone else's problems, right? Everyone would come back and pick their own, right? You don't want someone else's problems, right? You don't either want someone else's fortunes. You don't, because you don't know what comes along with it. You know, there's a famous story about this. Are you familiar with this? The woman who had this amazing ring. She was flying in an airplane. And the person sitting next to her looks at her ring. She says, "Wow, I've never seen a diamond like that. That is an enormous diamond. It is absolutely stunning." She says, "Wow, you must be so lucky." She says, "It might be a beautiful stone." I don't remember the husband's name, but she said, "Well, it comes with a mister," right? Yeah, it might be a beautiful stone, but don't forget the package that comes with it. The idea is that's another reason why we should never be jealous, is because you don't know the turmoil that people are facing. You know, it's like we're living in a culture. I was talking about this over the weekend with a few other rabbis. We're in this culture, this Facebook culture, where people post a picture. How many times do people take a picture before they actually post the picture that they're going to put out to the world? Right? My wife was telling me she was at a pool recently, and there was this young lady taking a picture of herself, taking a picture for about 45 minutes. 45 minutes, take a picture, you know, different angles, different this, how is it going to look like this and look like that? 45 minutes. It's a lot of time taking a picture. And only one is going to make it on. Which one do you think? The one which shows them not happy? No. So what it goes out to the world? Oh, look, they're so happy. They have such a perfect life. They're, you know, oh, look at them. And I'm telling you, we never, ever know what's going on behind the scenes. Ever. Jealousy is one of the most remarkable enigmas of this world. It's so fascinating how people are just, they're tempted by the eye. They see something and then they think, you know what? I want that. Not realizing what's really behind it. It's not that you see. It's all of the other headaches that come with it. Yes?
There was a song many years ago, The Gray Fox sang it. It was called behind closed doors. You never know what happens behind closed doors.
That's
Just what you're saying.
Exactly.
It was a great.
I'm
popular
so
song.
happy that I was able to have kavana to the song. So we're on the same page here.
Right.
So, yes.
I remember when I was growing up, very few people had credit cards, at
Right.
least in my parents' circle. And if you can't afford something, you don't buy it.
Right.
Even if you want something, you couldn't buy it. Now everybody buys whatever they want on
Right.
credit. And so it was a much easier life then.
It's a very big challenge because people are getting into debt they don't know how to get out of. They say that the national debt, not of the government, of households, is in the tens of trillions of dollars. Tens of trillions of dollars. You're talking about $60,000 to $70,000 per family. It's unbelievable. And what is it from? It's from the society of I see something and I want something. It's the eye sees and the heart desires. Right? What do we say in our Shema every single morning and evening and when we go to bed? V'lo taturu acharei levavchem ve'acharei einechem. And don't run after your eyes and after your heart. Asher atem zonim achareihem. We see something and we lust it. It's a very big challenge for people who live in a world of materialism. They see shoes. Ooh, where'd you get those shoes? Right? Nice shoes. Right? It is a sickness if people have it. Meaning, there's a way to avoid it. There are several ways to avoid it. Number one, and we can talk about this later in greater detail. Number one is to be happy for other people, genuinely happy, not happy for other people. Where did you get it? Right? That's really nice. I didn't know they sell this in that store. No, we bought it here. Okay, now I know where to go, right? No, it's like, that's not the idea. The idea is be happy for someone else to have something nice, to have something good. I'm happy that you have a nice car. And compliment people without wanting anything wanting to be part of it. So, I was thinking like this. I was thinking that Kinah, jealousy, we said in the Mishnah there are three things. Jealousy, desire, and honor. So think about this for a second. I think they're all the same. Jealousy, I'm jealous of what someone else has. What does that cause me to do? Have desire. When I have that desire and I actually fulfill that desire, what do I want? I want the honor. Just like I gave that person, so to speak, the honor in recognizing the good that they had, I'm expecting the same return. And I don't get it. And it's a vicious cycle that we keep on running. And that's why the Mishnah tells us, Motzi'in Adam min olam, it removes you from this world. You'll never have peace. You'll never have joy. You'll never have any rest from this never-ending, search for that fulfillment. You'll never find it.
You're chasing the tail.
You're chasing your tail. And then you're jealous again. And then you desire it. And then you search for that same happiness, that same satisfaction, and you still don't get it. And it's a vicious cycle. So I think that that's one way, an interesting way we can answer up that Mishnah. It's that these three things. Now, my grandfather also would say, jealousy, there are many different forms of jealousy. My grandfather used to, of blessed memory, in his book on education, right up there in the magnificent library, on the parenting and education shelf. This is my grandfather's book. Is on the right side. It's the green book over there. And one of the amazing things that he writes in that book is that this Mishnah is referring also to how to be an awful parent. People are jealous of their neighbor's children. Look at how nicely they're sitting in synagogue. I want my children to sit like that. Look how nicely they're treating their guests. I want my children to treat my guests like that. So it all comes from a desire for honor, a desire for certain things, a jealousy. Right? Look, oh my goodness, look at the neighbor's children. They're helping the mother bring the kids in. So my children don't. I'm going to yell at them. Why don't you bring them back? Not because it's the right thing for them per se. Maybe it is. But it has to be for the right sake for them. Not for the right sake for me. To give me the honor. Not because I'm jealous of my neighbor's children. Also something to be very careful about. We have to educate our children al pi darko, according to their way. Not according to my way. We have to raise our children. We have to educate our children to be the best they can be. Not what I want them to be. It's a very important principle. So, one of the worst traits of all is that we all see and notice what others do. Whether it's fashion, whether it's cars, whether it's homes, whether it's what people eat, where they eat. If someone else has it, I want it too. If someone else has it, I want it too. And it's a plague. I think in our generation even more so, because you have today something called marketing. Anyone familiar with marketing?
Of course.
Right? And today there's a whole industry of marketing. Especially, we had a few weeks ago, we had a Super Bowl. And companies paid well over $1 million for a 30-second slot to make you jealous. Everyone is they're ready to pay to make you jealous. Why? Because they know that when they make you jealous, then you're going to want it. And when you're going to want it, you're going to buy it.
You buy that product.
And you'll buy that product. So it'll make you jealous of and they do it in very, very, very clever ways. Very clever ways. Anyone who thinks that it's just a clever marketing team, no, they're using a tremendous amount of psychology. They're using a tremendous amount of to get you to a place where you almost say, oh, I can't live without it. I have to get that product, because otherwise my hair is not going to look good. If I don't have that product, or if I don't drive with those tires on my car, I'm not going to be driving. It's dangerous. Right? That's always the last thing, is the fear factor. It might be dangerous. That's the way they try to. But again, are we really feeding into our own jealousy? Are we falling into our own trap that we're creating for ourselves? It's important for us to really consider whether or not our buying something. And today we're a consumer culture where we buy and buy and buy endlessly. So, envy leads to lust. If we avoid seeing what others are doing, we'll also avoid lusting their possessions. Right? It is so... If we avoid seeing what others are doing, we'll also avoid lusting their possessions. So maybe it's a good idea to stop looking at what other people have. Stop looking at what other people have. Don't be jealous. Right? Don't buy. How do you not be jealous? Don't look at what they have. I'm happy with what I have. What do I care what other people have? Right? We grew up in our home as children. We grew up that our home was the nicest home. Period. Our home was the nicest home. Now, I guarantee you, nobody on our block thought that. Nobody thought that our home was the nicest. But inside our home, that was we didn't need to look outside. We don't need to look outside. What I have is the nicest. My home is the nicest. My car is the nicest. And that way we don't have that urge, that need to look at what other people have, to talk about what other people have. It's sometimes you could be around someone's table and you're talking with another family. And they could be talking the whole time about, oh, did you see what they had? Did you see what they were wearing? Look at that jewelry, those new shoes, right? People are talking constantly. And I have proof to this. Okay? I hope people don't throw me off the airwaves here from Facebook. But, so please don't report me. But this is a true story. In the great shul in Vilna, there were extra You know, I'm going to say this after. Remind me about the story about the Vilna Shul. I'll say it after we're off Facebook, because you know, it's a delicate crowd out there. You know, social media. I don't want, you know. Okay. Either way, so we're going to continue. Now, like you said just before, there is a good kind. Like with every trait, there is a good kind of jealousy as well. And the Mishnah tells us, Kinat sofrim tarbe chachma, that jealousy, rivalry of scholarship increases wisdom. Right? That's the Talmud in Baba Basra. The last gate, Baba Basra, in Nizikin, in damages, says that rivalry of scholarship increases wisdom. So, generally speaking, if I have a store, you can't open up a store right next to me, sell the same product. It's not fair. There are antitrust laws. There are other laws about not destroying your competition in such a way, having enough business for everyone. You move 2 blocks down, that's fine. Don't open up a falafel shop right next door to me, right? It's just not, you know. Next to the Torch Center is fine, by the way, okay? But not next to my falafel shop, right? That's known laws. There's laws in the Torah about that. You're not allowed to. Okay. But what's about, can I open up a school right next to your school? Can I open up a synagogue right next to your synagogue? Our sages tell us that yes, you're allowed to. You're allowed to open up a school right next door. Next door. You know why? Because you'll only benefit. You know what? Competition ensues. You start saying, you know what, we're going to offer better programs for our students. And now they're going to make an announcement, we're offering even better programs for our students. Who benefits? The students. That's a good thing. Rivalry in such a case is fantastic, because the benefit is more wisdom. Right? So there is a positive. Now, to be jealous of someone's good deeds is a very good thing. It falls right into that category. I'm jealous of how they dedicate their time to volunteering. Oh, what is that going to do to you? Make you volunteer. Great. I'm jealous at the amount of time they sit to learn Torah. That's great. Now you'll be motivated to study more. That's a very healthy type of jealousy. But here we're talking about an unhealthy type of jealousy. Wanting things that you don't have. Wanting things that God didn't give you. So, in Proverbs, King Solomon tells us like this: Rekev atzamot kinah. A tender heart. This is the full verse in Mishlei, in Proverbs 14, verse 30. A tender heart brings healing of the flesh, but envy brings rotting of the bones. It eats you up from within. If someone is jealous, they're jealous of what they're jealous of their success. They're jealous of who they married. They're jealous of the type of wedding they had. They're jealous of all of these different dimensions that we could be jealous of. Right? Jealous of their children, you're jealous of their job, you're jealous of their success. There's so many different things that we can look at other people, or jealous of their hair, their looks, whatever it is. If God wanted you to have it, guess what? He knows exactly where you are. And He can give it to you too, if He wanted you to have it.
It disconnects us from God.
That's what we said just a minute ago. That's right. That's right. That not having jealousy is a lack of our faith in the Almighty, in our relationship with God, because we're sort of putting Him out of the picture. He doesn't know what I need. I know what I need, and I need what they have. No, if God wanted you to have it, He would give it to you. So, V'ra'iti ani kol amal ve'et kol kisharon ha'maaseh ki hi kinat ish mire'ehu. And I saw that all labor and all skillful enterprise springs from man's rivalry with his neighbor. This too is futility and a vexation of the spirit. Who said this?
Solomon.
Very good. Where?
In Proverbs, I think.
He said it in Ecclesiastes. Right? We have to be so careful the damage that can be done by us being jealous of someone else. We're hurting ourselves. Not only about the other spiritual aspects. We spoke about faith, understanding that the Almighty gives us everything we need, and not to look at what other people have. Okay, but beyond that, health for our own self, for our own bones, King Solomon tells us here. Our own bones rot from the jealousy that we have. Right? We can't live with ourselves when we're just looking at what someone else has. And look, and the challenge is that people take it to a very far level when they're not happy, when they're not pleased with what they have. So, we mentioned this last week about the danger of a person who disconnects in that way from the Almighty falls into the area of anxiety, into fear. Right? What did we say? If you remember, we said the last words of Adon Olam. You remember we said what the last word? Hashem li lo ira. When I know that Hashem is for me, Hashem is there with me, I have nothing to fear. I have nothing to fear. If I know that everything that God wants me to have, I'll have. I have nothing to worry about not having things. Okay? So it takes away this element of being jealous of what someone else has. I want to read to you what the Chavetz Chaim writes about this. Chavetz Chaim in his many, many writings, I'll just tell you, the Chavetz Chaim passed away in 1934. According to some opinions, 1933, at the age of 94. And the Chavetz Chaim, someone once heard him crying, and in the other room, this person was overhearing. The Chavetz Chaim was saying, Hashem, please, give me something. Give me something so my life shouldn't be a total waste because I've done nothing. Yeah, the Chavetz Chaim wrote 24 unbelievable books that each one is a masterpiece. From the Mishnah Berurah to the Chavetz Chaim, the book, the Chavetz Chaim, which we have here in our magnificent library. There's the book of Shmirat HaLashon, of being careful with the words that we use and proper speech, and so on and so forth. All of the amazing books that he wrote. And he felt like, God, give me some skill, give me some talent so I can actually do something with myself. Right? That was the Chavetz Chaim. So he says, Hine Kinah himida gru'a me'od. Kinah, jealousy, is a very, very terrible trait. Umevi et ha'adam lidei lashon hara v'rechilut v'chamas. Right? It will lead us to speaking lashon hara. What's lashon hara? Speaking something negative but true about someone else. Or rechilut, which is speaking about what someone else said about you. Or Hamas is just trickery and dishonesty. In order that you should be elevated just like the person you're jealous of. So in order to prop yourself up, what are you going to do? Put someone else down. That's the result, says the Chavetz Chaim, of being jealous. You want to be great like someone else, so you know what you're going to do? Instead of looking inside of you saying, how can I conduct myself in a better way? You're going to put other people down. Totally different approach. V'yoter mimeno, and even more than this, v'im chaser lo avon says, if the other person is a sinner, a person who doesn't observe the laws of the Torah, this person, in order to be great like that individual, might also yitratzeh. He will also get to a point where he'll say, you know what? Maybe I should just leave my observance just to be like that person. The danger of jealousy. So he says, "Ulbasof motzi'a midar ra'a zu la'adam min ha'olam." Just like it says, and he brings the same Mishnah that we spoke about earlier, of how jealousy can remove a person from this world. The ikarakol, and the most important part of all of this, ba ze al yidei habatat ha'ayin, shehi mabit be'ayin ra'a al chavero, is that the reason why we get into this challenge, the reason why we get into a place where we're jealous about other people, is because we don't have a good eye on other people. We don't know how to have a positive eye. We don't know how to. You know, there's a word in Yiddish which is called fargin. Anybody know what the word fargin means?
Jealous.
Well, fargin is used in a way of like, I grant you that it's sort of to be gracious. To be gracious. You know what? Good for you. I'm so happy for you. You bought new shoes. I'm so happy for you. You have a brand new house.
With sincerity.
With sincerity. Right? It's the fargin, to be gracious. Chavetz Chaim tells us here, the reason why we're jealous is because we don't know how to be gracious. You're jealous because you want everything for yourself. We're selfish. He says, "Klal hadavar midah ra'a zu hi mikalkelet lanefesh me'od." It is a destructive trait for the soul. It does terrible damage for the soul. Unbelievable. And he brings verses to back this up. And how other traits, other negative traits come as a result because of jealousy. He says also over here, Yedah Adam, a person should know, Im chavero mechubad yoter mimano, if his friend is more recognized than he is, more honored than he is. You wonder, you and your friend work on a project and they make a big announcement that they're going to honor them. They're going to honor them at the synagogue dinner. They're going to honor them at the federation. They're going to honor them wherever it is. You're like, what? Why don't I get that honor? Why don't they give it to me? Right? So he says, Umatsui lefamim sha'adam yisna lechavero. There are times that a person will hate his fellow, al shechavero mechubad yoter mimenu, because your friend is more honored than you are. They're being honored, they're being recognized more than you are. Tzarich la'adam ladat, a person should know, ki bevadai hu zocher lechol hachavod. Ki kvar, it says, he says, ki kvar ktiv, ki mechabdai achabed. Those who honor the Almighty, God honors them. V'im lo haya nechbad b'nei hamakom, lo haya nechbad b'nei habriyot. We know a very important principle. If someone is honorable in the eyes of God, they're honorable in the eyes of man. And if you weren't chosen to be honored in whatever way that like your friend was, then guess what? Perhaps you weren't doing it with a full heart. Perhaps you weren't doing it for the right intentions. It's difficult to hear this sometimes, right? But guess what? Chavetz Chaim is speaking the truth. Chavetz Chaim is telling to us, right? And he says, says, you don't understand that by trying to pull someone else down, that they shouldn't get the honor that you want, which is, by the way, it's a very, very, very big challenge. In many synagogues, people want honors. They want honors. People are ready to pay a lot of money in the high holidays for certain honors. The people are ready to pay for those honors, which is fine. It's a way to fundraise for the synagogue. It's a way to support. It's a way to show your affection for the place in which you pray and are uplifted. That's great. But to be jealous of someone else, I'm jealous of what they have. Why did they get honored? Why didn't I get honored? Why did they get that aliyah, not me? And people get worked up about this. And people can be very, again, it's such a danger. It is such a danger because a person can fall all the way down. From all of the levels they have risen up to grow in their spirituality, can fall by being jealous of someone else, not recognizing that they have exactly the gift that God wanted them to have, and you have the gift that God exactly wanted you to have. Yes?
How do you, in a positive way, deal with someone that's jealous of you in a vicious way?
Right, so we discussed this at the beginning of the class. We mentioned the importance of not poking other people's eyes out.
For sure.
And that's we have to be very cognizant of that responsibility.
So when someone's trying to poke your eyes out,
Right.
I'm asking, how do you deal with someone who's very jealous of you? And what does Chofetz Chaim say?
Well, he doesn't talk about it here, but
How do you uplift them so they feel more secure?
I've had a story a little while back where someone called me. They were very angry about someone else, and it's something similar to what you're mentioning. And I said to them, there's a very powerful tool that we have. It's called prayer. Pray for them. Pray for them, and it turned things around in a remarkable way. So they may be your rival, they may be your challenger, they may be your competition. You can pray for them. On the contrary, we see a very, very, very incredible Talmud. The Talmud tells us an amazing. You want to hear? This is the solution to all problems, by the way. Okay. It says, "Hamitpalel be'ad chavero, hu nehenat chila." If you pray for someone else, you will benefit first.
That's not the point.
1 second. So if you know someone else who needs a job, pray for them. Pray for them to find a job. I also need a job. Let me worry about my own job first, and then I'll worry about somebody else's. No. Talmud says no. Pray for someone else, and you'll benefit first. So what does the Talmud continue saying over there? Well, if that's the case, then everyone's just going to pray for other people just so that they can benefit for themselves. And what does the Talmud say about that? Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Yeah. Pray for other people. So, it means we have to change our perspective and how we see the good that other people benefit from. They're not taking from us. It's an amazing thing. You see, if I take a dollar bill, and I give it to you. So who has the dollar? You have the dollar, not me. But what happens if I take a mitzvah and I share that mitzvah with you, or I give you the opportunity to do a mitzvah? We both got the mitzvah. It's like a perfect pyramid scheme, but it's not a scheme. It's a fact. The Almighty tells us, Kiner mitzvah. A mitzvah is like a candle. You know what happens? You do a mitzvah with someone else. You help someone else help someone else. And you know what? It doesn't take it away from you. I want the credit. No. You'll both get it. You'll both get it. If you care so much about someone else having the opportunity to do good, you'll get the reward for it as well. It's like a candle. It's like a candle. You have a candle. Everyone here has a candle. I light my candle and I light yours. Does it diminish mine? No. On the contrary, now there are two candles. And you light someone else's. Does that diminish yours? No. Now there's more light. That's Torah. That's mitzvah. It only brings more light to the world. We're used to this concept of there being finite goodness because we're in a very financially driven world where everything is about dollars and cents. If you have the dollar, I don't. Wrong. Hashem has plenty of dollars for everyone. Hashem has plenty of opportunities for everyone. And if you think that by your friend having goodness you can't handle it, it's because you're You're short-sighted on God's capabilities. God can handle it. God knows what you need. Pray for someone else. You know someone's jealous? Pray for them.
Is there more I can do for that person than just pray for them?
Just pray. I'll tell you why. Because sometimes in trying to quiet their desire or their jealousy, you can make them even more jealous in the process. You know, they say your enemies, the way to kill your enemies is with kindness, right? Because you show that graciousness, you show that you know,
Friendship.
you show that friendship, and they can't handle that. Why do they hate you? They hate you because they're jealous of you. And sometimes it's not sometimes. In many times, it's not rational.
Yeah.
It's not rational. It's emotional,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so we have to recognize it. But I don't think we should be caught up in if other people have issues. They have issues. But again, we have to measure our ways not to manipulate other people into being jealous of us. I mean, so not to poke them. It's an important thing. Yes.
There's an organization in New York also that if you call them, they'll partner you with someone that you don't.
That's right. It's an
know.
amazing organization.
I can't remember the name.
And I don't either remember, but there's an organization that if you're in a challenge, any type of challenge, they will partner you to pray for that person. It means if you have a challenge, they have a challenge, the same field, right? They'll match you to pray for each other. It's
Awesome.
it is awesome. It's an amazing thing.
Who is that?
It's an organization in New York. So, you know, someone has a certain illness. So pray for someone else who has that illness. You'll benefit first. Again, it's not about who's going to benefit first. The only idea is about how to be selfless. And that's the real bottom line of it, is to be selfless and to find a way to put someone else first. Right? So the Alter from Kelm says that there are two different types of jealousy. He says one was like Saul and David. He knew that it was going to be taken from him and given to King David. Right? And this is a terrible, right? You're taking away the job from me. Right? The transition of power is one which is tricky. You know, it's an amazing thing. We see how Moses transferred the power of the leadership, gave it over to Aaron. No, gave it over to Joshua. Right? And what does God tell Moses? Now it's time for you to step out. Right? Now you don't have it's like the amazing transfer of power that's in the United States when there's a new president. It's an amazing thing. That you go to the Capitol for the inauguration as president and you leave as a simple person. Nothing. I mean, the truth is there's simple people going in and going out. But they're just human beings. But still there's certain powers that they have access to. And they walk out just like ordinary people. And they relinquished all that power to the next government. It's really an incredible thing. אבל יש קינה כגון מי שהוא בעצמו אינו לא מלך ולא יקווה למלוך אלא כי אינו רעה בשל אחרים. He says this is not someone, he says there's another form of jealousy. And that's not that someone's taking your position. It's not that someone else is becoming king instead of you. It's just he can't see other people having good. Can't see other people having good. And he says, where does this is very important here. Where does this jealousy come from? This jealousy comes from arrogance. Now, what is arrogance? Remember we discussed this. Arrogance is, I'm the king of the universe. Don't you know that? Bow down to me. And you're driving the nicer car? Right? And you have nicer jewelry? And you go on that vacation? I thought I was the king of the universe. Right? So that arrogance that a person may have, again, also not recognizing their place in their relationship with God. Arrogance is that, and jealousy is that. It's the same cord that's broken. It's the same exact cord that's broken. When one is not reaching, when one is not recognizing, reaching within themselves into recognizing their relationship with God. That everything I have, I'm meant to have. And what I'm not meant to have, I won't have. And now, it's very empowering. It's a very empowering thing to know that, you know what, God believes in me. And God thinks, this is what I should have. Because this is my perfection. This is exactly what I need in order to attain my job, to get my job done in this world. He believes in me. Without having the fancy watch, without having that car, without having that job, without being the king. And you know what? Good for you for what you have. And good for you. And everyone, great. Learn to say nice things to other people. And to be gracious. And to be complimentary. I think that the tool that's needed to overcome jealousy at a later stage would be not to look. But if you're already looking at what other people have, really feel happy for them. Feel joy for them. It must make them feel so good to have that dress, to have that suit. It must feel so good. I'm happy for you. It's not about me. It's getting to understand what someone else has. I think this is one of the most important tools that are necessary for a happy marriage, is to really get into what the other person needs. In a healthy relationship, it's not about taking. It's not about owning. It's about giving. And the more we give, whether it's a compliment, it's not about how good this is for me, it's how good this is for you. That's what it's all about. And the more selfless we are, the more dedicated we are to that relationship, hopefully we don't become more selfish, but rather more selfless. And all of the, I don't know if you're seeing this, how all of these traits are interweaving with one another. They're all connecting so beautifully. If we don't have the proper emunah, we don't have the proper faith, we become arrogant. When we're arrogant, we're jealous. When we're jealous, we're angry. When we're angry, we're sad. There's so many things that one will lead to the other, lead to the other, lead to the other. Now, of course, the best thing to do is not to look at what other people have. Don't look. I guarantee you that if you didn't see the advertisement for the iPhone, you'd be perfectly happy without it.
Right. If you do look,
But
you feel that way.
but
So it's a disconnect. You're disconnecting from God. When you're feeling hurt or upset that you don't have what they have, stop. What's going on? You're disconnected from God.
Yeah.
That should be like a sign.
right.
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah, that helps. It should get you grounded.
100%. So here's the thing. Imagine this. Imagine if you missed the announcement of the new iPhone, and now you have to be with your iPhone. Instead, you read an article that there's not going to be a new iPhone for the next 10 years. There's not going to be a new iPhone for the next 10 years. Guess what? You know what will happen? People will be happy. People will be happy. It's fine. Okay. It's a great phone.
No more craziness.
No. According to some, by the way. Right? Right? I'm not a big Apple fan, but it's fine. Right? Right? But we hear the advertisement, and they again do the brilliant psychology of enticing you with how you cannot live without this new device. You just spent last year $900 for that same exact device. It's going to have one feature different, and now people are enticed to it, and boom, they have to have it.
It's true.
And it's 1,200.
And it's more, exactly. It is. So, yes, if we can limit the amount we look at what other people have, if we can limit the amount we look, I say if you even look at half the advertisements, if you're seeing advertisements on your television or whatever it is, right, look at only half of them. Instead of seeing 10 a day, look at 5 a day. If you can look at none, you're better off.
Mm-hmm.
And if you cannot look at what other people have, but if you do see what other people have, which is natural for us to see, guess what? Be happy for them. Is that a new car? Great. Drive safely in it. Enjoy it. Is that a new phone you got there? Good. Happy for you. You must be thrilled. To really genuinely be happy for what other people have. You don't need it. If you're content, if you're comfortable with who you are in your own skin, you don't want what other people have. When we're lacking that inner peace, when we're lacking that inner satisfaction for who we are, then we're constantly looking, what's going to be my filling that's going to fulfill my next desire, my next urge. So I think we have tremendous opportunity every day to work on this trait, to work on jealousy, to work on overcoming these again, I think what they are is temporary temptations.
Cheap thrills.
Yeah, they're temporary temptations that are dangling in front of us. It's the new phone, it's the new car, it's the new clothes, it's the new gadgets, whatever it is.
Like a sugar fix.
If you have that within, if you have that peace within, where you know you have a relationship with God, God gives you everything you need, suddenly you don't need all those things. Not only you don't need them, you don't want them. You're happy for them to have it. Great, you can have it. It's good for you. Right, any questions?
Well,
Yes.
like you're saying.
Question.
Like the question for me is like not the jealousy part, but when you're giving a compliment to truly, really.
Feel it.
Yeah. That's difficult.
It is. It is difficult to really feel that compliment that you give someone else. But no, it's not just to say it in words. We're talking about not just. It has to be from the heart. It really has to be from the heart. To really feel the joy that they have. You know, I'm sure everyone here has experienced a thrill when you buy something that you feel like, this is so great. It was a good deal, right? It was. Hey, guess what? Someone else feels that when they buy it. Be happy for them that they have that experience. It's a great thing. I'm so happy for you. I don't need it. It's not putting me down. You're not lacking anything by them having something. You agree, Doc?
Of course. You know, there are two words. You talked about a marriage, you know, husband and wife, but it's also for a relationship. My wife taught me this many years ago. Mm-hmm. Two words that you always want to use every day. Thank you. No matter what a person does, thank you. And do it with a smile that you're happy for them. And thank you. But that to me was a very important lesson my wife taught me when she was alive. Very important.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. Maybe we'll continue this topic next week. If you feel that we need more work on it, we'll work on it more. We all need to work on this. It's not this. I don't know anyone who's perfect in this, but it certainly deserves our focus and attention.
The only problem is I'm jealous of you because you're so much smarter than me.
No. Hashem gave you a lot more brains than He gave me. Right? You're a very bright man. But you know what? We all have a very limited time on this earth, and we have to maximize that time. We have to really work to make sure that we fill what our quota is with the Almighty. Not what someone else's quota is. Not what that person or that person. Just, you know what? Can I push myself more than I'm giving myself, credit for. And many times we sell ourselves cheap because we say, you know what, this is what I'm comfortable doing, but this is not what we're capable. We're capable of so much more. Go get him, and don't be jealous of anybody. You have everything in the world. You're so blessed. You're so blessed, each and every one of you. I feel like I'm blessed. I feel like I'm the most blessed person in the world to be here every Monday night and learn together with such amazing people. So thank you. Yes, question.
We have it all.
We do. That's
We
right.
have it all.
That's right. It's a good point that you're bringing it out right now. I'll just say this quickly before we close up shop. Sorry, friends online, you thought we were over. Right? So, what was the difference between Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and Esau? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob used the term kol. Kol means all. I've got it all. And when they were asked, so what do you have? They didn't say, well, I have a lot. I've got it all. I've got it all. There's nothing else that I need. Well, what happened when Jacob met his brother Esau? He says, V'chi yesh li rav, I have a lot. What does a lot mean? It's still a lot more. It's still more. And we know the Mishnah tells us, Yesh lo mana rotzim asayim. Someone has 100, he wants 200. Ohev kesef lo yisba kesef. Someone who loves money will never be satiated with the money they have. There's a certain, we have to be like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who are, you know what? I have it all. There's nothing else I desire because I have it all. We have to adopt that attitude. So thank you. Thank you for reminding me. We say that, by the way, in our blessing of grace after meals. We say in the Birkat HaMazon, we say, Bakol, Mikol, Kol. Just like Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, we also have it all. We have to remind ourselves every day. Every day, and when we make that blessing of Birkat HaMazon, we say the grace after meals, after eating bread. And we say those 3 words, Bakol, Mikol, Kol. Remember, I am a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. By the way, we're the luckiest people on earth. Just by the way, if any of us has an American passport, do you know what people would do in other countries to have that? We have so much great opportunity and fortune. Just simple things, but when we're jealous, it's a sort of lack of it's a lack of fulfillment. It's an emptiness that's calling us to look at what other people have.
A lack of faith.
And a lack of faith.
A lack of connection.
So thank you.
Facebook? We have to tell us what you
Okay, we'll be off Facebook, and I'll tell you the story in a second. So, to my friends online, this is the teaser, right? If you come to class, you'll hear the story that happened in the Vilna Shul. Till then, thank you very much for joining us, and please like and share these videos so other people can learn and grow, hopefully, online. Have a good evening.